Model for the unification of physical forces 3.1 Gravitational strong force unification. Gravity acting on atomic nuclei is what is currently known as the strong force. One of the fundamental premises of this unification model, which also includes the unification of physical forces, is that the flow of cosmic energy, which manifests itself and is distributed throughout cosmic space when propagating tridimensionally, adopts or acquires two principal directions or modes of action. One mode in the form of gravitation, or concentric forces of cohesion and compaction, and another in the form of expansion and dispersion, which correspond to magnetic forces. Logically, and by virtue of being components or phases of the same cosmic energy flow, both are equivalent in potential, such that Fg equals Fm, gravity force is equal to magnetic forces. And this equivalence occurs at any cosmic level that may be considered. This applies as well to atoms and their nuclei. Therefore, this model understands that the current consideration and measurement or adjustment that gravity is minimal in atomic nuclei is erroneous, and is possibly due to the lack of knowledge and application of the cosmic interrelation coefficient of levels Cu equals 2 pi times 10 to the power of 22. This unification coefficient is what, through measurement, takes us from one level to another, from the macrocosm to the microcosm or vice versa. Thus, if we are located on a planet and apply the linear unification coefficient Cu to it, we will find ourselves located, or have moved, towards and on an electron, and if we apply this coefficient to a moon, we will have located ourselves on a neutrino. Now, by applying or including this coefficient Cu in the formulas for measuring gravitational forces, gravitational force Fg equals a universal gravitational constant g times the square of the masses divided by the square of the radii or distances. We would have to divide the radii or distances by this coefficient Cu and square the result. Consequently, the resulting gravitational force on atomic nuclei, as shown in the formulas of the diagram, will be approximately 10 to the power of 44 times greater than currently estimated. In summary, gravity on atomic nuclei will be the same as on solar nuclei, and therefore gravity at our level is equal to the so-called strong force in atoms. The second diagram shows the types of magnetic forces as considered by this model. 3.2 Types and classes of magnetic forces. The types and classes of magnetic forces are more numerous, since their domain of action is broader, as they dominate the periphery of orbital systems, their electropositive orbits, atomic extension and volume, and related phenomena. Accordingly, we present here an overview of the principal classes considered within this model. 1. Strong and weak magnetic forces. 1a. Strong magnetic forces. Strong magnetic forces are those with such a high magnetic potential, expansive or dispersive, that they cause giant orbital systems to explode, as these systems cannot withstand the extremely high density and pressure of the energy they contain. Examples of such strong magnetic forces include the explosions of heavy atoms starting from uranium, as well as the explosions of massive stars, such as supernovae. 1b. Weak magnetic forces. Weak magnetic forces are of the same general type, acting to balance the energy contained within orbital systems, but they do not cause complete system-wide explosions. Instead, they act more locally, preferentially on the nuclei of significant orbital systems, emitting large particles in order to achieve a better balance of the contained energy. This is the mechanism underlying the radiations emitted by atomic nuclei, such as alpha particle emission, among others. 2. Orbital electromagnetic forces. Orbital electromagnetic forces dominate the atomic and stellar periphery and construct the positive orbits within orbital systems. This arises as a consequence of the rotation of orbital systems as a whole, which produces a spiral deformation, primarily along the equatorial plane of rotation, and establishes a north-south (NS) polarity. Above all, positive electromagnetic orbits are formed, whose distances correspond to orbital intersections or to the amplitude spacing of the spiral between successive turns or coils. These orbital electromagnetic forces are of enormous importance, as they determine electric charges. Each orbit contains or is measured as an electric charge and govern orbital exchange relationships, chemical reactions, and other interactions between orbital systems such as atoms. 3. Fine adjustment magnetic forces, or thermal forces. Fine adjustment magnetic forces, or thermal forces, are entropic magnetic forces that act to equalize, in a more subtle and refined manner, the energy contained within orbital systems, bringing them as close as possible to the cosmic energy density that the universe as a whole contains, dA. Through this force, if an atom possesses an excess of energy, it may emit energetic particles toward a nearby atom that lacks such energy. As can be seen, this type of magnetic force is what is measured as the temperature of bodies, which tend to equilibrate their energy among themselves. Magnetic forces, or forces of expansion and redistribution of energy at equal density throughout the cosmic universe, act both internally, from the core of orbital systems outwards to build and manage the periphery of systems, atoms, stars, galaxies, etc., and externally, or jointly, to equalize energy levels among all systems, as for example in atoms, which exchange energetic particles to equalize their temperatures. Thank you friends for your interest.